Hi, I'm Jane King, and this is New to the Street, in person back here at the NASDAQ market site in New York City. This show is all about public, private blockchain companies, the CEOs, the founders, and the innovators, bringing you lots of opportunities to consider. Here we go. Fantom is a highly scalable blockchain platform for DeFi, crypto, also decentralized apps and enterprise applications as well. And with me is the CEO, Michael Kong, to explain the latest things you've been doing with Fantom. I always learn something whenever we talk. What have been the latest games? Because I know you were interested in that have been deployed on Fantom.
Yeah, well, thanks again for having me here. It's always great to talk to you about what's been happening on Fantom. So, a lot has happened since we last spoke, on the technical side, I think also on the business development side. What we have seen recently is actually quite a few games now deploy onto the Fantom network, which is quite interesting, despite the bear market conditions that you hear about, people talk about, in the crypto industry and the wider tech scene as a whole. We have games across a variety of different gaming spectrum. So we have a few RTS games, or what are known as real-time strategy games. We have a few FPS, first-person shooter games that are similar to Overwatch and Call of Duty and that sort of thing. And we also have games that are more RPG or role-playing games, strategy-based. And so it's quite interesting the wide range of games that we're seeing deploy on Fantom. And I don't want to name a whole bunch of games because there are quite a few, I think 20 or 30 that the team recently did a tweet thread about, going through each game and showing the trailers and that sort of thing. And I don't want to mention specific names just in case I miss some of them.
Yeah.
People will get a bit upset with me, and also it's maybe a bit unfair to them if I forget about the names. But yeah, there are a lot of games deploying on Fantom, and people can see the games that are deployed on Fantom recently if you go to the Twitter for one of our Fantom team members called Nik.ftm. He has a long Twitter thread, I think 20 or 30 tweets long, and it just goes through each and every game that's been deployed on Fantom recently, and it's quite high quality, and I think people will be quite impressed by it.
Oh, interesting. And I'm just curious, Michael, your take on, we're seeing the global markets kind of melt down this year. There's been a lot of movement with interest rates and things like that. What's your take on that? How does it impact the blockchain industry? Yeah,
so I think a lot of focus has been, for obvious reasons, on macroeconomic conditions. Everyone's looking at what the central banks are going to be doing. Are they going to be increasing interest rates? Okay, by how much? And people are looking at inflation. And I think the issue for crypto at the moment is that it's kind of seen as like a tech index, or as like a tech stock.
Yeah.
So if tech stocks go up, crypto tends to go up. If tech stocks go down, crypto tends to go down. And a lot of it is tied to what central banks are doing, right?
Yeah.
Because that's just the way that the market works, right? So there's a lot of what we call bear market or negative sentiment in the technology space as a whole. I think what's really important is that in my personal opinion, I think central banks will have to start cutting again. And they will have to start cutting again I believe, in about 1 to 2 years. And the reason why is because government debt is way too big. And there's no way that governments can finance the government debt at 4 to 5% interest rates. And in fact, something very interesting happened yesterday, which is the Bank of England announced that in order to stabilize the markets, they would, I think close to the exact wording was, they would do whatever it took to buy any bonds necessary in order to stabilize the 10-year yields for the gilt, so what are known as the bonds for the UK market, right? And that tells me that in the end, the central banks will have to start cutting again in order to make sure that governments are able to service the massive debts that they've managed to take on, right?
Well, that's very interesting.
And that to me will lead to like more money going back into the asset classes, and basically like a new boom of users that will be starting to use tech stocks again, or in particular crypto. So I think what's important right now is that people kind of like build the technology out, build a platform, and when the market conditions improve, that's where you can take full advantage of the growth that will come next.
Yeah, and we've seen COVID restrictions lifted in many cities around the world, and you mentioned you're here for SmartCon, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, what kind of things are you seeing at these conferences? What are you speaking about? What's some of the cutting edge stuff that you're hearing?
Yeah, so I'll be speaking at the conference this afternoon, so Chainlink was kind to invite me for the two-day conference that's going on. There are other conferences that like Fantom will be attending as well. Like early November, I'll be attending what's known as the Staking Summit, or like a Proof of Stake conference held in like Lisbon. I think I'll also be presenting at Token 2049 around the same time as well. And we're going to be having our own Fantom related events as well. So we have a Fantom like related event, kind of like a bit of like an after party this evening that I think like 200 or 250 people have registered, which is quite a lot. But we're also going to have our own like hackathons, in particular our own kind of like conference next year as well that we're planning for. So there's a lot of like events that are taking place, and what we'll be talking about is why people should deploy on Fantom. The business use cases that we can offer people in terms of like technical support, in terms of marketing support, in terms of potential fundraising, and also like the technology stack as a whole, right? How you can execute transactions, cheaply but also securely, and take advantage of like the technology platform that we've built out.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Michael. Best of luck with all your travels and all your conferences. And
thanks so much. I appreciate the opportunity again. Thank you.
Thousands of people use Fantom every day to access DeFi, NFT, Metaverse, and GameFi decentralized applications. On Fantom, you can trade, lend, and borrow in a fully decentralized way with instant speed and near zero fees. Whether you're an artist or a collector, there's a rich and accessible NFT ecosystem to explore. Join your friends in the Metaverse for exciting digital experiences or play revolutionary Web3 games. Join Fantom today.
SAP IO helps companies transform how they do business. It works with the parent company, SAP, to help with new innovative companies. And with me is Sallie Jian, the head of SAP IO New York, to explain how all this works. So what is your role with the company? What is SAP IO?
Yes, so SAP IO is an organization within SAP. It's the corporate ventures and innovation team, where we work with amazing software startups that can add a lot of value to SAP's technology ecosystem, our partners, our customers, and in short, they're really adding value to Fortune 500s and bringing them solutions that they're already looking for day to day. We have a global presence. I lead our, as you mentioned, SAP IO New York efforts. We have a global footprint in 11 cities throughout the world. We've been around for approximately 5 years, and we've worked with over 400 startups. Most of them, we work with them through our accelerator programs and help them on various opportunities to partner with SAP. And then opportunistically, they are great pipeline for investment and acquisition down the line, and give us rich insights at SAP to really move the needle.
Well, in that way, SAP can make sure they're kind of on the cutting edge of some of the up-and-coming new innovations that are taking place. Yeah. So you're in town for some Web3 conferences. You're speaking on a corporate VC panel at SmartCon this week as well. So tell us about that, your visions of Web3. What will you be talking about these conferences?
Yeah, so Web3 is such a hot topic these days. For myself personally, I just got really involved and fell really into what they call the deep rabbit hole. And I've been investing into crypto and digital assets. I've joined different DAOs, going to all these conferences, and doing all of this, I approached SAP, my team at SAP IO, and said, hey, we should really be diving into Web3 more and exploring those opportunities for our customers, for our partners. And so for over the last year or so, I've been working alongside various business leaders at SAP to figure out what are ways that we can adopt Web3 into SAP, like what is actually applicable and practical and usable by our enterprise customers. And so there are a couple of categories that I think have really popped out. First is around future of work.
Okay.
So, COVID has changed everything about future of work and how we work from home, how we do hybrid work, how we probably can't sit in a desk job for 8 to 10 hours straight. So, what are the opportunities there to help employees, have immersive learning and development, maybe do metaverse onboarding and training. And then, there's some interesting trends around crypto also. So employees really are interested in getting paid with crypto, for example. So are there opportunities to have this, like these payroll opportunities, or opportunities to help people elevate their salaries and incomes with this new type of currency? A second opportunity is really around commerce, and that could extend payments as well in crypto. We can think about like how we can go into a store in a 3D environment rather than go travel throughout the world and walk into physical environments, virtual try-ons of clothing, apparel, even like furniture and objects, beaming into your room like a hologram or a VR object, right? And then another category is around credentials. So, and that's around like verification with blockchain technology, understanding the provenance, authenticity of something, making sure that something is fair trade, or if it goes back through the circular economy, that we know the materials and the fabrics and the makeup of a product, and it goes back to the brand and retailer too, to have all of that information, and the customer gets all of that information. So the opportunities are these use cases are starting to really kind of come to fruition. It's early stages, but I'm really excited about it, and I'm really excited to be a part of these conferences and these communities and really try to broadcast it through my organization.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's fascinating to watch, and the potential of it is kind of amazing too. So
exactly.
Thank you so much, Sallie, for coming in and explaining SAP I/O.
Thank you so much, Jane.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thousands of people use Fantom every day to access DeFi, NFT, Metaverse, and GameFi decentralized applications. On Fantom, you can trade, lend, and borrow in a fully decentralized way with instant speed and near zero fees. Whether you're an artist or a collector, there's a rich and accessible NFT ecosystem to explore. Join your friends in the Metaverse for exciting digital experiences or play revolutionary Web3 games. Join Fantom today.
Legacy Network is working on delivering a truly decentralized blockchain, and they're also working with developers and decentralized apps and wallets as well. And with me is the CEO, Justin Waiau, to explain more, update us on Legacy and what you're doing. And you created this blockchain. Where do you go from here?
So we already did all the groundwork on creating, our own platform and Legacy Network, and now it's time to build out the ecosystem. So one of the first dApps that we're building is a dApp called LootUp app, and it's a new kind of payment app, basically.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you about that, because we talked last time you were kind of working on it. Has it launched yet? Tell me about it. Where does it stand?
So basically, where we're at now in development is we've got the MVP done and ready to go. We're waiting to get approval from Apple and Android.
Okay, yeah,
Google
to be able
Play
to have
Store.
it on the...
Right. But we could go and just release our web app, and that'll be available, as soon as we get approval from everything else. So, yeah.
You're ready to go as soon as
Yeah.
you get the approval, it
Yeah.
sounds like. How is it different than other payment apps?
So from traditional payment apps, the way we differ is we don't hold any custody of your funds and we don't store any of your data. So the advantages of this is we can never freeze our users' accounts for any reason, and we're not turning your data into some data farm or any agencies or authorities because we don't have it in the first place.
Yeah, well, and that custodial thing is really key too.
Yeah.
So where do you see LootUp in 5 years?
I mean, continuing to make innovations, and we really want to expand into retail stores, online stores, not just person to person like it is now. Yeah, and just kind of make it the one-stop shop for any transaction.
Yeah. How far do you think we are from cryptocurrencies being more mainstream?
I think we're getting close. Right now, you know, we're still kind of in the speculative asset stage, but as seen with, you know, governments and countries starting to adopt cryptocurrency as legal tender, I really don't think we're far off, you know. So I think we're bridging the gap from speculative to actually being used.
Yeah,
as it was
we've
intended.
seen El Salvador, I think, has
Right.
kind of led the world in that.
Yeah.
What are the big hurdles in countries adopting cryptocurrency as their main currency?
Well, with any new emerging technologies, there's always going to be friction in the initial stages. I think regulators need to work very closely with the crypto projects themselves, rather than against each other all the time. But besides that, I think making it easier to use, for one. Right now, to use cryptocurrency, you need to educate yourself on what a wallet is, what gas fees are, what a blockchain is, and I think all that needs to be done in the background. And that's where LootUp app comes in.
Yeah, I figure like once it starts to be like Amazon, where it's just easy to use.
Exactly.
That's where, you know.
That's where real adoption is going to come from.
So you think that's what's needed to really get crypto mainstream?
Exactly. You know, no more long addresses.
Yeah.
We should just send to usernames.
Yeah.
We should be able to cancel and confirm. You know, I think.
So what, you mentioned this a little bit, but what are the features of LootUp that you are most excited about or you think is most beneficial?
Right, exactly. So that kind of leads into what I was just talking about earlier. I think the biggest features in LootUp will be the ability to send to a username, and not just a username, but a whitelisted username. So it's in your ecosystem already. You're not sending to a random person. The ability to cancel and confirm transactions.
Okay.
So right now, if you send to a wrong wallet address, your crypto's gone forever. You know, unless the person on the other side feels nice and they send it back. And the last feature I think that'll really help is having an invoice sent with the transaction. So it acts as a contract. So if the person on the other side confirms the transaction, he's essentially agreeing to the invoice and the contract. So it makes it a little safer, and just gives a little more texture and details with your transaction.
Yeah. How can somebody find out more about LootUp or an investor or something like that? Where can they go for more information?
So our website is lootup.app. Our social media is LootUp app. And we're actually a publicly traded company under Quantum International on the OTC markets.
Okay.
So that's how they can get involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
They can follow it there. Thanks so much, Justin.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Sekur, the true solution for your digital privacy and security. Sekur is a private and secure messaging and email solution hosted in Switzerland, using proprietary military-grade encryption and Swiss privacy laws, giving you true privacy. Sekur doesn't collect or sell your data and doesn't require your phone number or any personal data that hackers target. You can message and email non-secure users privately without the need for others to download Sekur. Visit Sekur.com. Regain and protect your privacy today.
FLR Finance is a software company helping other companies with Web3 and blockchain. And with me is Nik Christodoulakis.
Christodoulakis.
Christodoulakis,
Yes.
The CEO of FLR. So sorry about that.
No worries.
But great to have you here. Introduce your company. What are you doing with FLR?
Of course. FLR Finance is a Web3 software house where we build software for consumers and other companies, and we help them understand and utilize Web3 and blockchain generally.
Okay. And then you're trying to connect things, right? I mean, that is like your main mission? Tell me about that.
Yes, so we are building, let's say, an interconnected ecosystem of protocols and products right now. Currently, we have released 5 of our products, and we are planning to release 3 more in the following month.
Okay.
All those products, as you said, are interconnected through a central fee aggregator, as we call it. And what it does, it is pretty much taking fees from each one of the products that we release, and it provides them to loyal customers as loyalty reward, let's say. So yeah.
So tell me about your products. You said you have a few already. What are those? Who are those geared to?
Definitely. So we have 5 products already. Some of them that people might be more familiar with are a decentralized exchange where people can exchange various cryptocurrencies pretty much. And then an NFT marketplace where people can use or trade their NFTs and assets which are alike.
Okay. What's your take on Web3 and NFTs and the whole universe? I mean, do you think this has got an enormous growth potential, and it feels like it's a little slow to take off, but...
Definitely. I definitely believe it's a very groundbreaking technology. It helps us to solve tons of everyday problems, such as proofs of authenticity in the world of art, which NFT does quite well, proofs of ownership, problems of trust, and privacy, which privacy is a huge topic which have got even into Congress lately.
Sure.
So yeah, I definitely believe that Web3 will help to solve a lot of everyday problems, as I said, and will grow extremely much in the next years.
What do you think needs to happen for it to become more mainstream?
I believe the user experience definitely needs to get better. I would say it needs to become more simplest, and the builders in the space and the developers needs to understand that the everyday person shouldn't really know, let's say, or shouldn't care that it's Web3 or it's blockchain. It should be a seamless transaction to them, an everyday thing that they are used to do, and that's easy.
Yeah. I always think of how easy Amazon makes it to buy things and to find things, and so I feel like that's what Web3 needs to work toward to make it, because people don't care about the technology, they just want what they want.
Exactly.
So what's the future of FLR Finance?
So it's great that you mentioned Amazon, because one of our future products and something that I'm personally very excited about is solving the problem of privacy within the world of e-commerce, let's say. We're working on a protocol which, from what we know, for the first time in the history of Web3, will allow customers to have full custody of their private information, of their address and their shipping info. That means that there is no database where, let's say, their information are stored, which is controlled by one trusted party, which is a company. That data cannot be sold. They are not agreeing to any terms. They're just encrypted and saved into a public ledger, which is the blockchain.
Right. Well, that's one of the beauties of blockchain, is that that technology allows that to happen. We really haven't had that before. So,
yes.
All right. Anything else, Nik, you'd like to add about the company or where you're going?
Yeah, I believe I would like to, first of all, thank our community, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. We grew so much thanks to their feedback and to the ability to be so close to them and to listen to them, which Web3 generally gives the ability to companies to do. It's something quite unique. You couldn't share your feedback with Google or Instagram or Facebook just by going into a chat room and talk to the funding team or the developers. So I would like to thank every single person involved. And of course the team. We had the opportunity to work with some of the most talented individuals and academics around the world from some of the most acknowledged universities out there, and have them audit our work very close to us, and that's how we got here and we're proceeding forward.
Okay, well, best of luck. Thanks so much, Nik.
Thank you so much.
Out of control inflation, escalating government debt, gas and energy bills burning through your savings, and a spiraling war in Europe. The world feels like a very uncertain place right now, and it's harder and harder to take control of your money and safeguard your savings. I mean, why would anyone want to keep their money in a bank that's only going to lend it out for its own profit? Putting your savings at risk, and for what? A pittance in interest? Well, let me tell you about Glint and how they can help you to save in real gold you can spend like dollars. Now, first off, Glint's not a bank or crypto or some new type of credit card. What Glint provides is the ability and freedom to buy, save, and spend real allocated gold that's secured in Brink's vaults and insured by Lloyd's of London. Glint's Smart app and MasterCard is leading the payments revolution, putting you in control of your money by making real gold, trusted for thousands of years, into an instant, secure digital currency for the modern world. Best of all, your gold is always your gold. It's no one else's liability. It's secure and allocated to you. It never goes away, even in a crash. To learn more, go to glintpay.com or download Glint from your favorite app store. It's time to take control of your money and protect it with the time-tested security of gold and the modern digital convenience of Glint. Gold is security. Glint, it's key.
Glint Pay allows you to use real gold as everyday instant, secure, and reliable money. And with me is the CEO, Jason Cozens of Glint Pay. Great to have you back here in New York and at the NASDAQ. So just give everybody a refresher. What's Glint Pay all about?
Well, just to remind you, Glint is the first company in the world to enable real physical gold as everyday money. So literally with the Glint app and the MasterCard, I use it as an everyday currency. I pay for my coffees, my ice creams, my flights, my hotels, everything. I've got my own personal gold standard.
Yeah, and I remember you paid for your flights the last time you were here.
Yeah, of course.
In gold,
yeah,
so with a card.
Yeah.
So where can somebody go if they're interested in learning more about investing in Glint?
Yeah, so if someone's interested in investing in Glint, they can go to invest.glintpay.com, and there's a whole load of information about the company and our recent performance, and they can register their interest.
Now, I've been thinking about you a lot lately because we've been watching gold.
Yeah.
I've been watching all these markets, and they're all just going crazy, currencies, everything lately.
Yeah.
And gold has not performed as you would expect, at least in the U.S., in terms of an inflationary and geopolitical environment that we're seeing.
Sure.
Explain what's behind that and how you see it differently.
It's a really good question. So obviously there's lots going on, lots of uncertainty. We have, as you said, a tsunami of inflation. We have a war in Europe, effectively really with the West. We have the stock markets and cryptocurrency markets correcting, some might say a crash. We've got lots of problems. And everybody has flown to two places. They've gone to the US dollar and gold. So what you see is around the world, currencies like the pound, the euro, the yen. Gold's up. In pounds, I think today, gold's up 19% this year.
In pounds?
In pounds.
So that's interesting.
But of course, because people have flown to the safe haven of the dollar and gold at the same time, then in dollar terms, it looks like it's just gone up and down and generally sideways. But why is that? Why is the dollar so strong? Well, I think it's definitely because of the war in Ukraine. I mean, the US effectively is the world's balancing weight to what Russia is doing. And obviously its strength militarily and economically there has meant that people fly to the dollar. But actually the fundamentals behind the dollar aren't good. I mean, $31 trillion of debt, I think. The fundamentals haven't changed. During COVID, in 1 year, out of all US dollars in existence, 20% of those dollars were printed in 1 year. And so those inflationary pressures have yet to come through. But of course, because the dollar is strong, currently you can buy lots of things cheaply into the US, which is going to be a dampening effect on inflation temporarily, I think.
Yeah.
But we all know that the gold in the long run outruns everything. I mean, in my lifetime, the dollar has lost more than 85% of its purchasing power, and gold's purchasing power has gone up by over 500%.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I've wondered even about the strength of the dollar myself with all of the spending and the debt that we have in the U.S., but I guess that's where everybody's going for the time being.
Yeah, and actually it's where Glint has seen its greatest growth, is here in the U.S.
Okay.
So, in the last year since we did our last funding round, we have grown from 75,000 registered users to, I think, nearly 160,000 registered users. We're onboarding new users at about 15,000 people a month at the moment. And our revenues are up quarter on quarter, 130%. And the average amount of gold that a customer has is, maybe 4 or 5 times higher what you'd see in a kind of some of the challenger banks that we're seeing that have come to the market over the last 5 years. So there isn't a better time for our company, and that's one of the reasons why we're doing this new funding round.
Do you know what is the typical account amount when people launch their Glint?
Well, the good news is that we're appealing to a broad range of people. Glint's vision is a world where everyone has an equal opportunity to prosper, and we think the current monetary system is being one of the reasons why there's such a big divide between the haves and the have-nots. So it's important that everybody can have a Glint account. It's free to open. So we have 18-year-olds with accounts, and we also have, I think our oldest customer is 92. Okay. I've met him. He's a great guy. And so people have between $50 and $2 million in their account. But actually, I think the average is about 5,000 when you take it across all those 160,000
Interesting.
users.
And you have to be 18 to be able to open an account?
You have to be 18 to open an account, because we give you a debit card, a debit MasterCard, and your app, and that's how you're able to spend your gold.
Okay. And you also have some new forms of revenue, new streams coming.
Yeah, we do. We're always trying to innovate, and we're always trying to see how the product can best serve the market. We have a new product for our high net worth clients, a new premium account, and very excited about a new product we've got for wealth managers. It's the gold portal for wealth managers, and it allows them to be able to manage their clients' gold positions using Glint accounts. And that gives them the ability to buy, for the first time really, I think, allocated gold. At the moment, a lot of these wealth managers tend to only be able to buy ETF gold. And of course, you're buying a share in a fund there that might be backed by gold or amount of gold. Whereas with Glint, of course, through this gold portal, wealth managers can now buy their clients allocated gold, real allocated gold owned by them, no one else's liability, insured, stored in a vault in Switzerland, run by Brinks and insured by Brinks by Lloyd's of London. So you couldn't get a safer store of your value in my mind.
I was just going to ask about that. There's real gold behind it. It's stored somewhere.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jason, for the update and the talk about economics. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jane. Cheers.
Sekur, the true solution for your digital privacy and security. Sekur is a private and secure messaging and email solution hosted in Switzerland, using proprietary military-grade encryption and Swiss privacy laws, giving you true privacy. Sekur doesn't collect or sell your data and doesn't require your phone number or any personal data that hackers target. You can message and email non-secure users privately without the need for others to download Sekur. Visit Sekur.com. Regain and protect your privacy today.
SKUR is a messaging service, email as well, that lets you communicate with people in a secure way. And with me is the CEO, Alain Ghiai, to tell us about a new launch, a SKUR Messenger that you've just launched for enterprise. So
yes.
Explain to me what that is.
Well, we've had SKUR Messenger for consumers and businesses now. With enterprise, and we launched actually not too long ago SKUR chat by invite to 61 countries, which means you can text someone in 61 different countries, so from Europe, India, Asia, Latin America, and then invite them to chat with you. This is typically used a lot with businesses where you may have a lawyer, an investment banker, a doctor, or a government agent trying to reach someone and have a chat without having to use the free big tech tools that are out there that are compromised, as we know. So now what we did is, at the request of some investment bankers, we decided to create an archiving solution. So this new feature takes our product to the next level of enterprise. And also, just to comply with FINRA and other regulation, if you're an investment bank and you want to have your investment bankers and traders use SKUR Messenger, because we have the self-destruct timer, that doesn't comply because they need to archive those conversations for 7 to 10 years. And I don't know if you've read lately, US banks are being fined $1 billion because their employees are using WhatsApp and things like that. It's all over the press, right? I think we may have discussed it before. So the alternative is to have these big terminals from these big brands that we're not going to mention here, that cost $25,000, $30,000 a year that come with a messenger, but they really just use the messenger. So now for $7 a month, you can have an enterprise grade, highly private and secure messenger application. The bank or whoever the organization can store everything for compliance purpose for an infinite amount of years, really. And then the client and the employee can have the self-destruct feature advantage so that nothing resides on their phone or device.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I saw as part of the press release, you had SKUR Archive. So I guess that is particularly good for banks who need some of this communication.
We have our own investment bank that has decided to hopefully uplist us to NASDAQ. So they actually said they would use it. They need something like that. So this is officially being launched next month in October. And it's not just for financial institutions. I mean, anybody that needs archiving for, and government employees, you got Defense Department overseas in US. So it's a pretty cool feature. And for $7 a month, it's just unbeatable with all the privacy feature that SKUR Messenger comes with.
The markets aren't doing so great. And globally, there's some issues. People still need this service. To protect their data. We're still doing business. We're maybe a little more cautious than we were, but you still need to protect your data. So I would think
Yeah, you may cut some superfluous expense. I don't want to call it superfluous, but these are necessities for a business to run. You have to protect your data because it's your most valuable asset really for a business. So, and that's globally, as you rightfully mentioned, you know, so I think that kind of business and also cybersecurity companies, I believe that businesses themselves are going to increase. In fact, I've been reading they are increasing their cybersecurity budget because that's not stopping. They may cut someplace, they may cut marketing, they may cut other things, but nobody's cutting security and cybersecurity. So we're fortunate to be in a sector that's extremely strong. We do not see a recession in our sales. We see strong momentum, and hopefully the market will realize a quarter or two down the road that, you know, our company is extremely undervalued at 1.5 times book value and 3 times cash, right?
Yeah. So let's talk about the market opportunity with the SKUR Messenger for enterprise. How big could this be?
This could be massive. There's another thing that we announced as well. We announced mass onboarding. So this request came from a Defense Department in in an emerging market, I can't discuss which one, that wanted to onboard 1,000 people at once potentially. And we had to kind of scram to get this thing done, because now you can have banks, hospitals, law firms, government agency, corporates, they want to have 100, 500, 10,000 people on board. Now we have that enterprise feature that will be done. This one also end of this month. So for October, we have that. There's no limit. And now that we'll have that for next year, we're going to target heavily the bigger companies, because they have a lot more to lose too. They spend a fortune on IT. This is an extremely competitive offer. So we strongly believe when it comes to our messenger that we have a very unique proposal and offering. We've been told that if we can achieve ABC, that'd be fantastic. And we are achieving that with those features. So mass onboarding, and also archiving of your messengers.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. Great for the update, Alain, and I look forward to seeing you in person here in New York in October.
Me too. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jean.
Thousands of people use Fantom every day to access DeFi, NFT, Metaverse, and GameFi decentralized applications. On Fantom, you can trade, lend, and borrow in a fully decentralized way with instant speed and near zero fees. Whether you're an artist or a collector, there's a rich and accessible NFT ecosystem to explore. Join your friends in the Metaverse for exciting digital experiences or play revolutionary Web3 games. Join Fantom today.
SKUR Pharmaceuticals is a publicly held clinical stage biopharmaceutical company that's working specifically on a class of antibiotics for bacterial infections. And with me is CEO David Lucci to give me an update, again, give us an update on the company and where you're at. So let's start overall with the company, and then we'll dig deeper into exactly everything you're doing.
Sure. So the company has a new class of antibiotics called polymerase 3C inhibitors. And they inhibit the polymerase 3C enzyme, which is the primary catalyst or kind of construction worker that makes DNA for bacterial cells, specifically gram-positive bacterial cells. So like what? C. difficile infection, which is the target of our lead antibiotic, but also Mrsa, which is still 52% of all of the hospital-based infections in the U.S. today. So we have two antibiotics currently in the class, the lead of which, ibezapolstat, is in a phase 2b clinical trial right now, treating patients with C. diff, C. difficile infection.
Yeah, and I was telling you how after we did our last interview, I was telling my husband about the interview, and his uncle had C. diff. And I remember his uncle being sick. It was probably 10, 15 years ago.
Yes.
So, it's really very common. And this is, people will get this infection in the hospital or nursing home, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And how common is it, would you say?
There's about estimates are about 29,000 people die every year from C. diff in the U.S., and 500,000 to 600,000 people get C. diff. Mm-hmm. It's definitely life-threatening, and because of that, there's something called the GAIN Act, and the FDA gives us Qualified Infectious Disease Product designation and fast-track status. Mm-hmm. So we have an unbelievable relationship, in my view, with the FDA. With those designations, you really kind of get doted upon by the FDA, and the agency allows you to interact with them, as often as you want.
Yeah. So let's talk about Mrsa too. Explain your treatment for that. Where's that?
So that's at the lead optimization phase of preclinical development. It's a challenging area right now, but we expect to be done with lead optimization by the end of the year. And basically, there's some preclinical toxicity work and manufacturing work for 23. By the end of 23, we would hope to file an IND.
Okay. And you went public in the past year or so, right?
Yep. By the way, an IND is a license to conduct clinical trials in human subjects.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah, we went public in June. We went public in June 2021.
Okay.
Going on to the NASDAQ, of course, like we've done a couple of times in the past.
Yeah.
I know the whole team.
Yeah.
And in July of 22, just a couple of months ago, we did a registered direct offering.
Okay.
We brought in an old friend that I worked with 20 years ago in my first pharma company.
And I know the clinical trials are key, but what else is part of your kind of short-term goals?
So in addition to the clinical trial and the preclinical work on the second antibiotic candidate, we're working on a number of non-dilutive grants, as well as territorial licensing deals, for each drug. Some companies like one, some companies like the other. Really, I think it depends on internal factors at different potential buyers, or licensors. So if they have a hospital-based sales force, they're going to be interested in the second drug, ACX 375. If they already have microbiome programs, they're going to love ibezapolstat, the lead drug, because while we're curing the C. diff, by the end of day 3 of treatment, so far, all of the patients are also fully restored with a healthy microbiome.
Okay. Well, good luck in your trials. I look forward to
Thank you so much.
Seeing how the second phase goes, and then we'll do an updated interview then. Thanks, David.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Out of control inflation, escalating government debt, gas and energy bills burning through your savings, and a spiraling war in Europe. The world feels like a very uncertain place right now, and it's harder and harder to take control of your money and safeguard your savings. I mean, why would anyone want to keep their money in a bank that's only going to lend it out for its own profit? Putting your savings at risk, and for what? A pittance in interest? Well, let me tell you about Glint and how they can help you to save in real gold you can spend like dollars. Now, first off, Glint's not a bank or crypto or some new type of credit card. What Glint provides is the ability and freedom to buy, save, and spend real allocated gold that's secured in Brink's vaults and insured by Lloyd's of London. Glint's Smart app and MasterCard is leading the payments revolution, putting you in control of your money by making real gold, trusted for thousands of years, into an instant, secure digital currency for the modern world. Best of all, your gold is always your gold, with no one else's liability. It's secure and allocated to you. It never goes away, even in a crash. To learn more, go to glintpay.com or download Glint from your favorite app store. It's time to take control of your money and protect it with the time-tested security of gold and the modern digital convenience of Glint. Gold is security. Glint, it's key.
CDL 1000 is a technology-driven supply chain solution, and that could help get goods to where they need to be in a more efficient and cost-effective way. And with me is Doug Anderson, an advisor to the company, and also Andrew Sobko, the CEO. Welcome, both of you. And Andrew, let's just start and give me an overview of CDL 1000.
Sure. So CDL 1000 is a logistics technology firm. So we initially started with kind of trying to digitalize the whole kind of space. And our key mission was we were focusing on the business called drayage, which stands for moving containers out of the ports.
Okay.
And over time, we expanded into different service offerings like truckload business. But in a simple way, we build a brand where we kind of like sell shipments in bulk, and we call it batches. And our kind of batch platform stands for, we sell, let's say, from 50 loads at the time as one transaction, or 100 shipments at the time as one transaction.
Yeah.
That's a high level overview.
Yeah, Doug, this is an area that seems to me is clearly in need of disruption.
Well,
do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, the timing of this particular deal, of course, is brilliant, because we've all experienced what's happening with supply chain these days, and sometimes the most dynamic, the fastest growing companies, I mean, they're number 3 on the Inc. 5000 list, and they're the fastest growing number 1 in shipping and ports. Sometimes the simplest solutions are simple, and so what they've done is they've cut out the middleman. so that the ports and shipping are more efficient and more cost effective. And consumers, especially shipping companies or companies that need things shipped, are responding to that big time because they're realizing, hey, these guys are faster, more efficient, cheaper than anybody else, and so they're flooding into there right now. I think they're on track to probably take about 10% of the shipping market in the U.S., which is very substantial.
Yeah.
And they're an amazing company.
How could an investor find out more about it? Is it, do you have shares that you purchase in private placement or anything like that?
So we're a private company, and as of today, we don't have any outside capital.
Okay.
Of course, we do have tremendous inbound interest in the company, so we're trying to actually decide and potentially partner up with the right strategic partner. But at this moment, we don't have any outside capital in the company.
Okay. And then just finally, explain your goals. Where do you plan to go from here?
So our overall goal kind of to simplify this and disrupt the whole supply chain industry. And we started with drayage, which is the most complicated piece of it, supply chain. And what we're working on with fully digitalizing the space.
Andrew, explain drayage. What is that exactly?
So the whole logjam in the ports that you heard in the news for the past 3 years, it starts with drayage. And drayage means moving containers out of the ports and rail yards. And there's massive kind of shortage of chassis, drivers, so it all kind of plays into it. So we were able to build successful infrastructure out of the biggest ports and rail yards in the country. So we're able to execute successfully to pull those containers out of the ports. We also successfully saved it's called demurrage, which is late fees to the ports. We saved most of our clients at least 20 to 40% on demurrage fees, which we're talking about tens of millions of dollars spent on a monthly basis by the biggest Fortune 500 companies.
Wow, and in an inflationary environment, that is really important.
Absolutely.
Doug, go ahead.
And it's usually being passed on to consumers.
Right.
So that's how we're saving money for the consumers at the end of the day.
And Doug, explain a little bit of the growth expansion strategies that you're seeing.
So, as mentioned, I mean, there's cost savings to the customer and consumer. It's not nudging the needle. It's really moving the needle. I mean, no one's seen this kind of cost savings in this sector. This massive number in forever, and so with that. They have the advantage in growth of not only organic, numbers, but also they have the strength to do acquisitions, which they're very active in. They're acquiring other companies that don't benefit from their software that can see that kind of growth, and so they're joining the train. And so this company is very dynamic. It's growing fast, and it's attracting a lot of interest from investors and from strategics as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
SKUR, the true solution for your digital privacy and security. SKUR is a private and secure messaging and email solution hosted in Switzerland, using proprietary military-grade encryption and Swiss privacy laws, giving you true privacy. SKUR doesn't collect or sell your data and doesn't require your phone number or any personal data that hackers target. You can message and email non-secure users privately without the need for others to download SKUR. Visit SKUR.com. Regain and protect your privacy today.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to your Secure Privacy and Security segment. I'm Anna Berry, along with Alain Ghiai, the CEO of Secure Private Data. Hi, Alain. How you doing?
Hi, Anna. Hi, everyone.
All right, so our weekly hack, we're talking about something that happened in my home state of Oklahoma. About 2.5 million loanees, basically kids, their personal data was exposed in a data breach. Some of their most financial information, personal information, was all accessed, and now it's potentially going to be leveraged for other phishing campaigns targeting students, and especially these college students and college graduates. So I'm sure these kids use Gmail, Yahoo, blah, blah, blah. So let's talk about the solution that Sekur provides, especially when it comes to students and their emails. So talk a little bit about that with us today, Alain.
Sure. So what happened, because the President Biden said they will forgive $10,000 to loanees of lower and middle income, it's an attractive proposition, obviously. So the hackers take advantage of these type of events, whether it's financial, political, etc. This is a classic example of how hackers can go and send a bunch of email phishing, which is basically sending an email that triggers a user to click on a link or open a file. Sometimes it says, hey, we have your application, you've been approved for $30,000, whatever it may be, or click here to file for that $10,000 forgiveness. Anyway, there's a million ways they can do it. But the most important is that people just click without thinking. And in the emails that you mentioned, all the emails everybody uses, they've been recycled so many times, they've been sold so many times that anybody can get, tens of millions of email lists for very cheap. So if you receive an email from Secure Send, you know it's legit. But if you don't, sorry, go ahead.
Now, you mentioned Gmail, Hotmail, all that, but what about the school server? What about at ou.edu or OSU? How private and secure is that?
Well, they all use Google, essentially.
Okay. So not
right. So, no, schools are not going to start to spend millions of dollars creating their own email system. They can barely give you good food at the cafeteria, I would imagine, because they're all in debt, right? They always ask for money. So they all use, essentially, it would be maybe a Microsoft, I'm not sure, but Google from decades back was very smart, just like Apple, to really promote to students, right, and to schools. We could definitely offer, we have our small medium business solution now, our enterprise solutions. We've had discussions overseas with some universities in Latin America because they definitely see the danger there. I think in the US it will take several events like this for a school to come and say, hey, maybe we want to adopt a secure email, and then we have our domain with you, which now you can do with secure mail. So we're more than happy to offer these services to students. As a matter of fact, I want to give a promo code, if I may, Secure15, you get 15% off. People say, yeah, but students get the email for free. Well, this is what happens to you. Your identity is now completely stolen, and it could cost you tens of thousands of dollars. People can commit crime in your name. When you think about it, isn't it better to pay $5 a month for an email with a discount inclusive, obviously, and get 100 gig and have that security and privacy that we offer in Switzerland? So that's my advice to everyone, not just students,
Absolutely. Well, we're hitting all types of consumers, everything from parents, like we spoke about a few weeks ago, to businesses, and now students. Everyone needs to start adapting this lifestyle change, especially with the Secure brand, because you're keeping our data private and secure. As always, learning so much from you, Alain. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Thanks, Anna, and thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next week.